welcome to Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
Remember when I said this is going to be my 6 weeks for gaming host, Madelyn?
I looked at my list of games and realized with slowly dawning horror how many I had played since last time, host Emma.
Oh, thank goodness. And welcome to the show. It's 6 weeks in gaming. It's our Save Data side quest. We're going to be talking about what we've been playing since mid-October. I'm doing it live with my little Kingdom Hearts mug.
Wow, looking good.
Mug of tea.
Doing it live with my Husky's water bottle, which has nothing to do with video games.
So I really thought I was going to game a lot this 6 weeks, and that was sort of apparently silly of me. I do have 4 games. Is that right? 4 games. Some of them quite small, though.
We also watched episode 2 of Yakuza Like a Dragon. No, I'm sorry, Like a Dragon Yakuza.
Did we only watch episode 2, or did we also watch episode 3?
No, we only watched episode 2.
I really felt like we watched episode 3, but we didn't.
It's because we kept having to restart it.
Oh, man.
We had to keep exit out.
Are not working. Well, okay, Emma, since you've apparently played every game known to man, what do you got?
Yeah, I looked at, the date of the last time we did this, which was October 20th.
That's right.
And then I looked at my list, and I went, oh no!
Oh no!
So I guess I'll do a couple. I finished up, I talked last time about Spirit Hunter NG. You may remember Occult Girlfriend and Crime Boyfriend featured. Yes. Simone, what was Simone's name? Simone Crispy. Right.
Right.
I finished that up. It was pretty fun. Wasn't anything special, I don't think. But I had a good time with it. It was spooky. Good Halloween season kind of game.
Sure.
That's pretty much all I have to say about that. I think I said most of what I wanted to say on that last time.
But you finished it.
I finished it. It's done. Check.
Nice work.
We're still in spooky season in this, timeline. So I also played the second Alan Wake 2 DLC.
Oh.
The Lake House. Fun fact, apparently if you are playing through the game, I didn't do it like this. I have not done my second playthrough of Alan Wake 2 yet, but if you want to, while you're playing the base game, there are actual times in the base game where it'll prompt you to play each of the DLC episodes.
Oh, interesting. That's nice. I like when that's done that way.
Yeah, so they've built it into the story. So this is Agent Estevez, who's a character in Alan Wake 2 that you meet later on in the story, is sort of regaling Saga, who's one of the main protagonists of Alan Wake 2, with sort of an experience that she had before entering the story. She came to Cauldron Lake, she was checking in at the lake house there, which is a sub-facility of the Federal Bureau of Control, which she's an agent of, which, if you played Control...
You might recognize.
So they've been doing experiments in there trying to, work with the lake, makes art real, right? That's, the spooky thing that it does. So there's a husband and wife pair. They're trying to figure out how to make art real, controllable through writing and painting, right? They have, competing projects, and it's deteriorating their marriage. And a lot of it is, so the writing one is, they're trying to make, Alan GPT.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So they're trying to, figure out how to make, basically an AI tool, reproduce Alan Wake's writing style. So there's a lot of commentary in this one about the process of that.
Perhaps.
It's very funny and very, on
the nose.
For the times. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a pretty short little experience. I think it took me an hour, 2 hours. But it's spookier than the other one, the Night Springs ones, which were mostly goofy.
Would you recommend, if you were playing it through for the first time, like playing it as
I don't know.
in the recommended story spot?
I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna have to do that when I do my eventual second playthrough, because I do want to. Is just try to do the DLCs in their places and see how it feels. Like I said, they are pretty short, so it's not like they're huge diversions from the main plot or anything. But it would be interesting to just sort of suddenly be, you know, in a different character with different abilities. Estevez loads her shotgun a lot slower than Saga does by the end of Alan Wake 2, so be careful of that, I guess. But yeah, it was a fun time. It was fun to go back to that. I'm excited for Control 2. So.
Can I say, as someone who has played like none of these games, so totally unqualified opinion,
sure,
that I have mixed feelings about the Remedy-verse of it all.
It's not... It doesn't feel that essential.
I know it doesn't yet.
People like to pretend that, like, oh, you have to play Control to understand this, right? It's like, no, you don't. You'll get it. You'll figure it out.
Yeah. Emma's really smart, though, so take that with a grain of salt.
I think it's fine. I'll be interested to see what they do with the Max Payne remakes. If they try to tie that in, which I think will be a bit of a stretch. Like, there's, you know, the Max Payne references in even the first Alan Wake, right? His Alex Casey is very clearly, like, ripping that off of themselves. But I think it's just Control and Alan Wake, it's not really that... It's like 3 games, you know? So...
I'm not saying it's getting too big. I'm just saying, oh man, the art of the like successful standalone single player game is so there's not as much of that left as you'd want, right? And the fact that they're sort of like
new
weaving
IPs.
it into a universe is a little like the IP-ification of it all. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
I have mixed feelings about it from the very, like, as someone totally on the outside. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, I think it's interesting in that, like, Control is very sort of overarching in scope, right? Like, the contextification, that's not a word, but you know what I mean,
of Alan Wake. So we're in that territory.
Of Alan Wake in Control is that it's, like, a very small, like, it's just, like, one sort of event.
Sure.
That has happened in this world of spooky stuff going on. So it's like Life is Strange, you know?
I'm interested to see what's next for the Remedyverse. Like what happens to it, because you're right that right now it's just like 3 games. Yep. And I think the more it becomes like an interlocking puzzle box of itself, the more I'm going to be like, So people wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't even believe it like a day ago, but I finished Limbo.
Wow.
Who would have thought? 3-hour game. Madelyn managed to finish it. Crazy. I did almost give up on it, as I've said on previous podcasts. Even at 3 hours, it felt kind of long. I didn't necessarily feel like it was fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. If you're looking, it's not spooky season really anymore, but if you're feeling like Nightmare Before Christmassy and like you want to have your Halloween moment now, like you could get it. Like that is a thing you could do. I guess I just didn't feel like the puzzles, like they definitely got a little bit more like harder and more involved as you went. But I didn't necessarily feel like they felt like they built on each other, if that makes sense. That's hard to do in a puzzle game. But I just sort of, I struggled with the momentum on this one, especially given that there was like nothing really driving me forward.
Right.
Like there's no breadcrumb of story in this, really. All the stuff that's like, oh, it's about a boy following his sister, whatever. Where the heck did you get that from? Like there's so nothing in this game.
That's just from the description.
I know, but it's just interesting because it's like, oh, like there's like 2 little crumbs of that in the game, just barely. And yeah, I'm glad that I finished it. It felt good to not abandon it. And when I did finish it the other day, it was like, oh, I really was like 45 minutes left from the end. So I'm glad that I didn't quit, given that I was 45 minutes from the end. But there were a couple of puzzles at the end that I thought were particularly kind of dumb. Like there was one where it's like, oh, I did this whole thing with a box, only to discover there was a box that I missed. We did look this one up. I think that I looked up probably about 10% of the puzzles, 3 or 4 of the 38 overall. And of those, I think probably 2 of them, had I not been feeling so impatient with the game, I might have eventually figured out. This one was really stupid, though. It's like missed a box somewhere way back, so I had to go way back. And then to get the box out, you have to like manipulate gravity in this like very like weirdo, almost trine feeling way. And I just didn't love it. I was like, this is stupid. This is kind of a stupid puzzle. So yeah, not gonna be my game of the year. But you know,
that'd be a really funny game of the year.
Yeah, my game of the year is Limbo. No, it's just puzzle games have moved past this by now.
Yeah,
I think that's all. So I understand why people would have liked it at the time. It's moody, it's puzzly, it's difficult. You sure do die a lot. But I'm not gonna go back and replay it.
Any plans to play Inside?
I think my boyfriend has played Inside and said it was good. This didn't have me racing out to play Inside.
Sure, yeah.
There's so many. I pretty much played this game so it wouldn't languish in my backlog, so I can delete it from my Nintendo Switch. So, you know, I did as I was looking through my Switch library, go, ooh, Okami HD. Ooh. I see you. Mm-hmm. Should I start another 70-hour game right now about saving the Earth with a 4-legged creature that you can fight as?
Yeah.
Is Red 13 really like related to our wolf pal from Okami, whose name I can't pronounce correctly?
Mythological inspiration-wise, maybe a little bit. Who knows?
Wow, somebody asked Nomura about that and ask him where Kingdom Hearts 4 is while you're at it. Where is it?
He's busy. He's busy.
He should be busy with Kingdom Hearts.
He probably is. All right. Well, another quick one for me. Like I said last week, I played Mouthwashing.
That's still so surprising to me.
I don't know. It's like, you know, it was a hit cult thing. It's like 2 hours long. I don't know.
I know it. I
have my Steam Deck now.
It shouldn't be surprising to me. I forget that you're a Steam Deck warrior.
Yeah. Things that, you know, are a little bit weird and funky and only on PC are now more tempting to me, right? Because I've got my Steam Deck.
Did you know that Hades 2 is on Mac? Because I didn't.
No, but makes sense.
I'm still not going to get it. I was just looking at the Steam Autumn sale.
Yeah, I've just decided with that one. It's like, I know it's like more done than Hades was when it first came out, but like, I'm just waiting for 1.0. I can wait.
Yeah.
There's no need to introduce that to my gaming time right now.
I remembered that Civilization 7 is coming out this winter again and got like a full body shake.
Oh dear.
My inbox like shuddered. Sorry, go on. Mouthwashing. You played Mouthwashing. Go listen to our episode on Mouthwashing. Was that last week? I think that was last week. For more spoilery thoughts, probably. But Emma, yeah. What were Had you finished it by last week?
Yeah. I finished it on November 1st.
Wow.
See, I was trying to play it. I talked about this last week. I was trying to play it all Halloween night. But I got stuck on that one section.
I don't think you mentioned it was Halloween night when you said that, because I don't remember.
I know, I just said it.
I had to go to sleep, and then I solved the puzzle.
But yeah, I was trying to play it in one night because it was Halloween, but I had to finish it on the 1st, unfortunately. Anyway, it was good. I liked it. It was solid little horror experience. I also played Slay the Princess again because they released the pristine cut. which added a few new routes and touched up some art and added some more lines to some of the routes. Just sort of like a general expansion of the game.
Was that free?
Yes, the update was free. The game is not free.
I know the game is not free. I was not suggesting that it's free to play.
Yeah, no, the update was free. It is free, so if you buy it now, you get the pristine cut. So I got all routes I hadn't seen before, and 2 of the newly added routes to the game, and they were all quite good. It's just a good game. Slay the Princess is quite good. I'm probably gonna get the physical copy, and then I'll play it again and do some new stuff. It's definitely not a game where I'm like, oh, I must seek out every route and see them immediately, because I kind of like that it's so it's sprawling enough that, like, I could just do, like, 3 playthroughs over time and continuously see stuff I haven't seen before and find discoveries and know that there's probably even more stuff that I could discover. Like, even if you do a route you've done before, there can be, like, multiple endings to that route as well. So it'll be fun. It's fun. It's just I think it's a good game to revisit every once in a while and enjoy it. But I did get the same final ending because
you're the same person.
Yeah. It's like, I got to the ending, I was like, I could do a different one just for the Chivo, but it didn't feel right.
Just for
I was like,
Chivo? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, I was being flippant.
Oh, man.
Just for the Chivo little pop-up,
Oh, the Chivo. I thought you said the TiVo, like the thing that you use to record television.
No, just for the Chivo.
I love that. I'm gonna start using that.
But the ending I got the first time was the one that felt right to me, so I just did it again.
Well, it's relevant. We were just talking about Slay the Princess here because in my backlog bingo quest and my quest where I was like, oh no, it's the 6-week podcast and I've played like a game and a tiny bit. And that's going to be really embarrassing to come in with, ostensibly as the host of a gaming podcast. So I was like, what is a game that I could play here from Talk This HQ Spain, closing up here at Talk This HQ Spain, to, beef up those numbers, maybe work on the backlog a little bit, maybe be able to clear some space on my computer if I can, like, delete it, that kind of thing. And for a while, I thought about firing up Kentucky Route Zero again, but I still do really feel like I probably just ought to buy it on the Switch.
Yeah.
Still thinking about that. I might still play it on my computer. We'll see. I did bring the Switch here, so I have it, but I already own it on my computer, and so I should just get over my computer allergy and play it.
No, I mean, I bought it on the PlayStation after owning it on my computer for several years, so I get it either way. So
I do want to... I just need to think about how that game will eventually fit into being played. But I didn't do that because I felt like playing only a little bit of that and talking about it would be very repetitive. I've already played Act 1 of that game, and I will start over, and I didn't want to do that. So instead, I looked at my Steam library, and I thought, I didn't ever actually really play the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. I bought it for the show, I played a tiny bit, and then I didn't play anymore. So I did technically get the Chivo for beating the game.
Yeah?
Yeah. Stanley got out.
Good work.
More to see, I imagine.
Did you get to the new content?
Yeah, you get to the new content like right away. Or I did, anyway.
Oh yeah, the door to the new content.
No, there wasn't a door. I just like died and then I got warped to the new content.
You died?
Well, I was about to die.
In the Stanley Parable?
Yeah. I went through a door and Stanley was going to get crushed by 2 plates of metal, and then the second narrator came on.
Oh, I don't remember this part of the Stanley Parable. I don't know if I got this ever.
So, yeah, she was like, quit the game, you're going to die. And then I didn't quit the game, because I'm stubborn. And then I got warped to this new land.
I see.
All the concept art and stuff.
Oh. I don't know if that's new content, actually. I'm not sure.
I thought that was new content. Maybe it's not.
Well, if you keep playing, eventually there will be some very obvious new content.
Yes, I remember there being a door. I remember looking into that. But it's been, it's been an amusing I play and Click My Boyfriend watches kind of thing. And obviously, Slay the Princess, somewhat of a descendant of the Stanley Parable.
Yeah.
Or like very much so, honestly. I did have a fun little meta moment where, I was having some trouble. Here's a bug that I'd love for them to fix. I'd moved to window mode, and then I went back to full screen mode, and then I couldn't, I couldn't look around. So we had tank controls, Stanley, for a while, which Click My Boyfriend did not like very much. I was like, maybe this is how it's supposed to be. Like, there's no control for looking around. I don't remember. No, listeners, you're supposed to be able to look around. But I had to put it into full screen mode because I don't like doing that on Steam. I like having access to my other. So I had it in full screen mode, which meant that it didn't give me any warning about my battery. And also my computer has been dying at not 1% battery recently, which who knows, man.
Man, your devices.
So it's just its battery is starting to deteriorate. That's fine. But it didn't give me the low battery warning, and I had it full screen, so I wasn't even watching the battery amount. And the narrator was like, at this moment, I'm going to give you a lesson in real life decision making, so you better watch. And then the screen went black. And I was like, is this the game? Is this like a little joke? Like, I have to go make some real life decisions now? It wasn't. The computer had just put itself to sleep. But I thought that was really funny.
That's pretty good.
It was very, right on the nose correct. Anyway, we'll probably do a little bit more noodling around with that while here, because, I'm separated from ye old PlayStation, so it's a good moment to, try to, burn through a few other little games. But if you have any recommendations for other, good little Steam games to get, do let me know. I should not get back into Vampire Survivors or Stardew Valley or, God forbid, Balatro.
Yeah.
So, gotta keep me occupied.
Well, a couple more Steam Deck games for me.
She's a Steam Deck warrior.
I'm a Steam Deck warrior. Catching up on some 2024 releases that I was interested in but didn't get around to at the time. Filling out my Game of the Year list.
Game Awards the Game Awards are soon.
Yes. I don't remember when exactly. There's sometime in December.
It's always first half of December.
The December 10s somewhere, I think, this year. Maybe. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, I played Arco, which is a turn-based, real-time hybrid tactics game, with choice-based story decision-making stuff. So
it's a disgusting game.
I was trying to figure out what genre to say it was, but I wasn't really sure.
That was corporate marketing. I broke out in hives. Go on.
So you play as three different indigenous people to this land, and they're each going on their own quests that puts them in conflict with this gang called the Red Company, as well as the newcomers who are coming in and settling here, right? So you play three different acts, and each one is a different character, and then they come together at the end, so they're all together for the last act. And in each one you go sort of from screen to screen on a big map, and then on each screen you may run into different events that happen that might be combat or someone to trade with or some sort of decision that you need to make there, or some sort of happening that causes you to take damage or lose stuff or gain stuff or whatever. So the combat is like, you decide what action to take, and you always have like your one controlled character, and then sometimes they might pick up second characters along the way for parts of their story. So you can move or do an action to fight people, and then as you're moving or doing an action, there's like a short period where everything's moving, right? So you and the enemies take action at the same time. So you might choose things to block what the enemy's doing, or move out of the way of bullets, or so on and so forth. But the one complicated factor is occasionally manifestations of your guilt, which you can increase and decrease through actions that you take in the game, will appear as ghosts on the screen. And if the ghosts touch you, you take damage. And they only move during the planning phase. So occasionally a ghost will appear on screen, and you have to then be making decisions faster, else the ghost will come up and hit you and cause you to take damage. So it's really fun. It's really fun for me. It's a very fun system to play with. It also has a really quick like retry button, which is nice.
Love that. Required for 2024, frankly.
If you really frick up, you can just be like, start over. Let's try again. Yeah, and so I found the gameplay really fun. I thought that it was really interesting, like the different paths and choices that you can make. I ended up sort of on the standard story path, but there's also like a special high guilt path that you can take if you take certain actions, which I would be interested in doing, because seems to be a lot of like hidden boss fights essentially along that path. And I think it would be interesting. But yeah, just a fun, really sort of unique, different kind of game. They were in the sort of interview news a little bit for a while, because they were just talking about like what a struggle it was to get it like out there, right? And you can tell like in the achievements, like I can see the achievements for like the high guilt path, right? And like in terms of like just generally finishing the game, it's already like barely anybody has. But like for the high guilt path, is like, oh, like 0.1% of players have this achievement. Nice. So it is really interesting of like the challenge of, well, one, getting it sold, and then two, having people actually like, how many people that buy it actually finish your game. Yeah. And then the other one I played, also tactics game, but I played Tactical Breach Wizards.
A tactics game?
Yeah. So it's like a world where people sort of awaken to magical powers, and that's become like a part of warfare and military sort of thing, is having like the different magical type people that have different skills, like sort of on your team. So one of your, you start with Jen and Van. Jen's a PI, and Van's a former, oh man, it's not Navy SEAL, it's something else. But it's something like punny.
Wizard Navy SEAL.
Yeah. Whatever, I can't remember what the actual title was. It's something wizardy and punny for Navy SEAL. But he was in the military. And you've like unearthed this sort of like plot going on with one of Van's old associates, who seems to be doing something shady and bad for the world. So you're trying to piece together sort of what she's doing and following her through the steps of her plan to try to foil them, right? And the way it works is there's like, you clear rooms. So like you breach, right? Tactical breach wizards. You breach into a room with your breaching seal. And you take turns, like first you take it and then the enemy takes it. But you can see what the enemy's going to do, so you plan ahead for that. And you take various, each of your characters have various magical actions that they can take, and you can get skill upgrades for them so that improves their abilities as you go forward. And so you can combine their abilities in interesting ways. And also it counts how many people you push out of windows.
Good.
Which is usually the optimal strat.
More defenestration counters, please.
Yes. Which is,
like I said, gaming wish.
That's usually what you want to do. Rather than trying to... For bigger enemies, it's very satisfying. Like the ones that have huge health bars, when you're just like, out the window with you. Or out the window equivalent with you. Also, very, very fun game. It's really, like, it's on the puzzler side of tactics games, but it doesn't really feel like, other than, like, some challenges, it doesn't really feel like there's, like, one precise solution for going into things. Because everybody has, especially by the end, everybody has abilities that can complement each other. And work together in interesting ways to get the result that you want. So sometimes it felt like I stumbled into something that's like, oh yeah, I'm doing good here. And you have different combinations of characters at different times too, so you figure out how each of their sort of skill sets can work together. So it encourages you to think creatively as well as like sort of find the solution type things.
Well, maybe it's time for me to get another tactics game into my rotation.
Yeah. But yeah, 2 this year games that I really liked and are really good. So.
Well, listeners, I did it. It took forever, like wishing that it would go on sale or feeling intimidated to begin. And guess what? It did go on sale this weekend. So,
well, yeah.
Well, I know, but it's like maybe I should have waited. But I finally started Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I do have to think really hard about what the title is every time. I can't hold it in my head.
Oh well.
The third one is definitely going to be Reunion, by the way. I wish
they already used it for Crisis Core.
Oh, they did, didn't they? Wow, I was really playing it being like, no, like, it's definitely going to be Reunion.
I see people say that, but it's like they already used that for the Crisis Core remaster remake thing, so I don't think I hope they call it remaster. Reunion.
That would be sick. Wouldn't that be incredible?
No, I have no idea what... I don't know what they're going to call it.
All right, I take it back. I take back my bold prediction. Yeah, man, it really looked like me and Sephiroth were going to be friends for a while.
He's just kind of a cool dude, you know?
Yeah, he seemed cool.
He's just kind of a chill guy.
He likes to hike.
That's why you shouldn't let your friends read books.
Yeah. He's just possessive of his stuff.
Final Fantasy VII is the dangers of going to the library.
Having danger isn't hard when you've got a library card.
Yeah.
Having mass murder isn't hard when you've got a library card. Anyway, I'm like, I have not gotten very far in it. I am feeling a little bit of the open world paralysis that sometimes gets me. I really had felt like over the past few years I had played more open world games, and that's true, but I was trying to think back on it. I was like, I don't know that I've played that many like gigantic ones.
Yeah.
Like Skyrim. But I feel like I've played a lot of much more contained open worlds, you know, all the Yakuza, Chia, any number of other games, right? And I was like, oh, I've gotten good at those. I've gotten good at managing those. And now I'm like having a hard time firing up this game because I'm like, oh my god, there's so much.
Yeah, I don't know if it's helpful or not helpful. Like, it breaks it into like regions in Rebirth, which like in some ways it's like, okay, here's like a bunch of small little areas for you. But also that makes it so easy to be like, I'll just do everything in the grasslands right now.
Yes, I'm only like near the end of chapter 2, right? So like we've done almost nothing. We have chocobos, Chadley's back, girl
Heck
chat
yeah.
ladies
You got
here.
the Chad module.
Yeah. We've met Chad. And we're just kind of running around. So not too much eventful has taken place yet. And I can already tell that I am really going to have to hold myself to, like, and not just because I am hoping to have, okay, so I don't think it's going to be done by the 11th. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish the game by January 11th. I don't think that I am. I was thinking about it. Like, how many hours do you think the main story?
It's
Main
really
story with,
hard.
like, with, like, light to moderate side questing. Give me an estimate. It could be wrong.
I've seen people playing it again, so with that caveat of, like, going through it on, like, hard mode, that if you just stick to the main story, it's not actually that long to get through. Okay,
but what does that mean?
Like 30 hours.
Not that long. 30 hours. Yeah, okay. Great.
That's not that long for an RPG.
No, I know it's not. I recognize
but, like,
that.
You know, I did not do everything in the grasslands my first time through. I was like, I'm not going to do everything.
Right.
When I was starting the beginning. And then I got to the next region, and I did everything. And then I was like, well, I did everything here, so I might as well go back to the grasslands real fast and
no.
do everything. And then from there, it was just like, well, I guess I'm doing everything.
Those Chivos.
I gotta get those Chivos. No, I did not platinum it, to be clear. You do get, like, later on, you get, like, a little area where there's, like, little physical objects tied to, like, different achievements you can get, sort of. I did not complete that area. I was like, I will not do the piano mini game anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so we're thinking I could do it in, like, 50.
I bet.
I'd have to be so disciplined because, like, okay, I've only played through chapter 2 basically, so we'll knock like 5 hours off of that, right? But I should probably still call it 50. And so I'll be in New York for 2 weeks. I have 3 weeks basically.
Yeah. There's a couple of dangerous mini games, I think, for you. So if
yeah, the card game is a problem.
Yeah.
I've been doing great so far.
There's going to be another one that I think might get you.
Tell me there's not a cabaret.
There's not a cabaret.
Tell me there's no real estate. Tell me there's no...
Cloud does not do real estate.
Wouldn't that be funny? Cloud would be really bad. Like, anything involving real estate, Cloud would be bad at, I think.
He would be very bad at it. But yeah. I think you could do it. You just gotta have... You've gotta control yourself.
Yeah. It's, well, depending. We're debating the end of month plans, so maybe I'll have a few more days than that. But yeah, with 3 weeks, I just have to play a regimented, like, 2.5 hours a day. I'm gonna tell work. I'll be like, so sorry.
My other job.
Yeah. Concert is coming.
Yeah. What difficulty are you playing on, by the way?
Whatever the normal one is, I think.
Normal.
I assume. I don't think that I would have chosen hard for myself.
I put it on dynamic.
Oh, I didn't trust that. I don't like when the game decides, like, oh, you're having trouble here? Let's make it easier.
I think it's just tied to what level you are.
Fair enough.
Which is, imperfect in its system. I know a lot of people, I did fine because I'm a god gamer, right?
Yeah.
But, like, there's something wonky with, like, the final boss and dynamic difficulty of, like, making it, like, way harder than it needed to be.
Oops.
But if you're a normal, that's probably fine.
Well, listeners, keep me in your thoughts because, yeah, I feel like if I can make it through knowing whether Aerith is going to live or die in this one, then, like, I'll be fine for the concert. You know what I mean? Like, that feels like the big spoiler.
Yeah.
It's probably not. Emma's like, you're not even going to believe it. Yozora shows up. But, like...
No. I'll spoil that for you.
Dang. Here's another thing. Is there a better way to, like, tag objectives on the map? I'm having a really hard time with the map.
You should be able to set waypoints. I don't remember.
I haven't gotten good at it yet, and I think that that's going to be an important thing for the next 5 hours of the game, or this is going to become hard for me very quick.
Yeah.
All this to say, I'm great at games.
Yeah.
I'm really good at games.
We're both very good at navigation in games, I think.
And life.
And life, yeah.
Just
In life,
skilled
too.
navigators. Anyway, yeah, hopefully by the next episode, I will have finished it. Probably. We'll see. While you talk, I'm gonna zone out and count up when the next episode is and see how likely I think it is. So please, tell me more about your games while I do some calendar math.
All right.
Today is the first.
My last 2024 one, I just finished yesterday, but it's only like 45 minutes long, so, I just played it yesterday, I guess. I played Interstate 35, which is a short little visual novel about a woman going home in like the post-apocalypse in Texas. It was good. I really liked it. For me, it's 45 minutes. I was looking on Steam, and most people have like an hour and a half, so that's just my reading speed, I guess. Or just maybe some people appreciate, like take it in the vibes. Me, I'm just like, I'm reading, So
I was like, this is a book.
Yeah, I'm going and reading. I'm going through. But it's got great art. The writing's really great. The music is very vibey. There's like an interesting system where you can like remember things, and those memories turn into like weird little inventory items in your bag that you've scavenged, or you can choose to discard those memories and not bring them with you, which I think is an interesting way to encourage you to take your own meaning in the story. And I found it effective. And yeah, it's good. I played Norco. I don't know why I said that with a question. I was thinking about how long ago I played it. A couple years ago. It's sort of like Norco, except about a third of the length or so. But it has similar sort of vibes to it. And then for my backlog bingo.
Wait, calendar update. The next 6 podcast, I believe, is on January 12th.
So it better be.
Well, here's the problem. Look, listeners know that we record these live.
Yes, of course.
Knowing things about like how Emma's travel schedule might shake out and how that sometimes impacts the liveness of these recordings, I think it is possible that I will not have finished it, given that it might come down to the wire.
Well, perhaps mysteriously not talk about the concert in that
we'll be so
too.
Tired and still kind of like digesting the concert.
Yeah.
But you probably won't hear about it until later.
But yeah, for my backlog bingo, I played The Case of the Golden Idol.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
What a glowing review.
I think it's a good game. It's just not one that really clicks with me.
Yeah, didn't hit for you.
I feel like, so it's like a mystery game. You go into various scenes and you collect sort of clues and objects and in the forms of words and like diagrams that you can fill out in your head. And in order, you're trying to solve whatever death or happening has happened in this scene, right? By figuring out who each person is, the stuff they have on their person, what the series of events were, right? And you just do this by like sort of filling in a Mad Libs type situation. So I was impressed with myself. I was like, I'm figuring these out pretty good.
Yeah, strong Mad Libber.
I'm a strong Mad Libber. But I feel like with mysteries, for me, it's just very distant, right? Like I was following the story mostly, and they have like a little epilogue one where you can fill in the Mad Lib that goes over the plot of the story just in case you miss stuff, I guess. But I was following the plot of the story. There's like this golden idol that allows you to perform various types of magic and stuff. Sure. And
titular.
You're following the misfortunes that this golden idol has wreaked upon people, right? Wreaked?
Yeah.
Okay. But I just didn't, like, emotionally connect to it very well. Which, it's not, like, what it's going for, right? I don't think you're really supposed to emotionally connect to it. But it's hard for me to follow, especially mysteries, I feel like, where I don't have that kind of emotional connection. Because then I'm just sort of, like, figuring it out for the sake of it being a logic puzzle, which I'm not super into logic puzzles, you know?
That makes one of us.
I know. You might like it better. A lot of people I saw in the reviews were like, oh, this is a good one to chase Oberdin with, right? Or whatever. As a chaser, I mean. I don't remember when they came out, if they came out close to each other, but there was a lot of talk of Oberdin in the reviews for whatever reason. And yeah. So I played it, I finished it. I didn't feel compelled to play the DLC that was included in my copy for whatever reason. I think it updated free to like the complete edition or something at some point. I've had it in my backlog for a while. But I didn't feel compelled to play any of the DLC. I was like, I feel like this was a good self-contained experience, and I did it, and it's crossed off. And not really a genre for me, I think.
Big week for that for us, huh?
Yeah. Just like Limbo.
Just like Limbo.
Did you have any other games? Did you?
Yeah, I got one tiny one.
Okay.
While I was hanging out with some friends, I played a little bit of Helldivers 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Does that have split screen?
What?
Does that have split screen?
This was a setup where people had two monitors set up in their home.
Got it.
Yeah. No, it does not have split screen. I'm really not very good at these kinds of games.
Sure.
I think the problem is that it's like I could become better.
Right.
But it's like hard to jump in with people who have like played the game.
Right.
You know. Not in a bad, just in a like, oh, like, you know what all of these, I did get sort of the experience of like being a person who's not a gamer for a moment. Yeah. I was like, oh, like, you know what all of these items are. I don't.
Right.
I'm still thinking about which button throws the grenade and which button doesn't. So I got it. It was fun. I get the appeal. Mm-hmm. I think I get the appeal. I think I liked it better than I liked like Apex, Fortnite kind of energy. I think it would be more likely to be my multiplayer game than that. But yes, it's just become clear to me that I think I've missed the boat on getting into like big multiplayer online games. Mm-hmm. Because I think everyone's skill level with it is higher than mine at this point, and I don't like being bad at things.
Sure.
And so I would have to like get into like a for beginners club. Which I think probably I could start.
You could, probably.
So people are looking for those kind of like clubs. Only this one you couldn't actually be together.
Yeah.
But you could be on voice chat. I'm just feeling like run clubs are very trendy right now as a dating app replacement. So I could start a Helldivers 2 club.
Yeah, everybody knows you've got time to start clubs. I
do. I have a lot of time. I played a lot of games. Did I mention that? And I'm trying to beat like the biggest game of the year in like 3 weeks. Did I mention that? But absolutely, I should be running an amateur, very newbie multiplayer online game club.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was pretty good. The propaganda stuff is kind of fun, etc., etc. Not racing back.
All right, well, my last one, probably my last backlog bingo I'll do this year.
Wow.
By the time I finish it, I'll probably finish it before the end of the year. I think I'm a little more than halfway through. But Tales of Symphonia,
nice,
remastered. Remains a really not great remaster. Okay. Before I said I would talk more about the story this time, and I will, but funny bug. Okay. Beforehand. So, at some point, a character named Sheena, who's like sort of like a ninja character, joins your party. And when she joins your party, she's just sort of been like beat up, so her clothes and her face are kind of dirty. Right? And this, maintains over time. And for a while I'm like, okay, yeah, like she hasn't left our party. She's not had time to like have a bath. We've been going and doing things really fast, right? There's no wet wipes, whatever. And then, she goes home for a bit. Like, she leaves your party very temporarily, and she comes back still dirty. And I'm like, this is such an interesting choice. Like, is this like a character beat, right? Like, she just doesn't care that she's kind of dirty, right? She's so focused on her mission or whatever. And then I noticed in combat, she's not dirty.
Uh-oh.
Her model does not have any dirt on it.
Uh-oh.
And so I Google it, Sheena dirty clothes, and I find a thread that's like, why is she dirty? And it turns out it's so you can equip titles. You can get new titles for each of your characters and equip them over time. And some of them are costumes. I've not gotten any of those yet, but apparently some of them are costumes. And I think there's a weird bug in the remaster where, like, her dirty appearance gets tied to her original title, which is Mysterious Assassin.
Oh.
But story-wise, I haven't even gotten to the point where she gets, like, her first main story new title. So you can get a title if you control her and change your mind about escaping from battle 3 times in a single fight. So I did that. And then when you change her title to
she's
now
clean.
Indecisive, she's clean.
Oh, thank goodness.
It's just been 10 hours.
Decisive about her cleanliness, at least.
She's figured out how to wipe her face off.
That's wild.
So, if you play Tales of Symphonia and you're like, why is Sheena so dirty? Just control her, try to run from battle and change your mind a few times, and you will fix it.
Good hack, Emma. Who cares
Anyway.
about the story?
Yeah, who cares? That's the real story.
The story
Will
is she was
Sheena
dirty.
ever wash her clothes? So this is like the Tales where I've played enough of them now that I'm like really recognizing like the tropes of this series, like the main hits, right? There's always like some sort of unknown and or parallel world going on.
Yep.
You always have at least one character that betrays you either permanently or temporarily, like in the middle of the game.
Mm-hmm.
There's more. I'm sure there's more. I was thinking of other ones before, but those are like the 2 main beats.
Yeah.
That have happened in like almost every Tales I've played at this point.
Gotta have it.
So the first part of this game is you play as Lloyd. His childhood friend Colette is the Chosen, who's supposed to go on a journey in order to regenerate the world. She has to go collect all these, or unseal all these seals, and then go to the Tower of Salvation and become an angel. And so you do that. You're hanging with your childhood friends and your teacher and this mercenary named Kratos, who is probably Kratos.
Okay.
With a K.
Just checking.
It's spelled like Kratos, yeah.
Nice.
Who is probably your dad.
Oh, wow.
Lloyd does not have this suspicion yet, but sometimes we have conversations. They had like skit conversations where Kratos would be like, don't you hate your dad who killed your mom? Like, isn't that your revenge? And Lloyd's like, no, he was forced to do that.
The dad killed the mom, and we think the dad's name is Kratos?
Turned into a monster, I think is the implication.
Okay.
they're creating these things called X-spheres that you have to put on a person, and then it harvests the person's energy, and the person turns into a monster, and then you get like an X-sphere out of it. So, super cool process.
Neat.
Super cool, humane process. But they have this conversation sometimes where Kratos is like, don't you want revenge on your dad? And Lloyd's like, nah. And then Kratos is like, don't die, Lloyd. It's like, I'm pretty sure he's my dad. He also had a conversation with Lloyd's, like, dog horse, where I was a little bit like, is my dog horse my mom?
No! Okay, now I'm much less. For a while, I was like, oh yeah, it sounds like Kratos is definitely your dad. Now I'm like, I don't know if your impulses on this are trustworthy.
Anyway, he betrayed us, and we discovered when Colette was, attempting to regenerate the world, that they're trying to use her as like a vessel for a goddess, and there's like these angelic beings that are like ruling over the world. Typical. And created this system where there's these two parallel worlds that are like passing the mana back and forth essentially by doing this like human sacrifice ritual. Like one's flourishing while the other one is declining, and back and forth. So now we've gone over to this other world. We've met the Chosen over there, and we're just sort of on a journey to figure out if there's some way to fix like the way that the world system works. Not very clear at the moment.
Next time on Tales from Symphonia.
Colette's gotten kidnapped again, so...
Oh, man. Come on, Colette. Get it together.
Fun system that I've discovered. So the Chosen in the other world, whose name is not in my head right now.
The Chosen. The other world
The Chosen. The other Chosen guy. He's very clearly a replacement for Kratos. He has the same weapons and all the same arts that he had. So, but anyway, if you control him, he's like the flirt character, right?
Sure.
So if you control him and talk to women in the game, they will give you money.
That's how it works.
Like, he's just being paid for being pretty, which, like...
Good for him.
You know what? I'll do that. He can pay for my in nap every time I go into a town, you know?
Yep.
And if you control Colette and talk to dogs, she will name them.
Even better.
I know. Yeah. Don't get any money out of it, but then the dog permanently has that name. So, pretty
only
good.
Joy. No money, only joy.
So yeah, I think I'm a little bit of halfway through. I'm still having fun. It's got the classic no retry button, and you can't skip cutscenes. So I have to just be really good at the game.
Yeah. You're a god gamer.
I'm a god gamer. I can do it, you know?
It's no problem for you.
There's been a few times where like it's just like, oh my god. Like it's very stressful system of like getting people up from death constantly. But you know, I'm having a good time with it. It's cozy. You were talking about like the block pushing puzzles in Rebirth, and I was joking it's like a Sony exclusive thing, but no,
it is.
I think that RPG designers have just always thought, like, what do the people want? They want to push some blocks.
It was insane when that showed up in Rebirth. I was like, why is this here? What is the point of this?
I had to push a block across, like, an entire screen's worth of scaffolding. So, like, there's, like, one line, and then you have to shrink yourself so you can walk over the spider webs to get to the other side to continue pulling the block. And if you have just a slight bit of stick drift, you might accidentally shove the block off the scaffolding to the floor twice in the middle of it.
That's bad.
Yeah, you actually have to do this. So you have to push it like a quarter of the way through for the first block, right? And then you have to go and do something, and then you have to come back, and then you have to push it like 2/3 of the way through to do the second block. And then you have to go and do something, and then come back, and then you have to push a block all the way across the screen, because we love pushing blocks. That's what the gamers want. Here's a genuine question
for you, and I'm racking my brain to try to think of the answer for me right now. Have you ever had to push a block in your life?
I feel like I've had to move a stool, which is maybe like the real life equivalent.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. No, I don't think.
Like pushing something large.
I've ever had to
something at least
push
2/3 your height that you had to push.
Like a laptop cart?
Nope.
No, that's not this. I guess that's not quite 2/3 your height. That's probably the
and
biggest thing.
It's got wheels on it. The wheels are a real.
Like a clothing rack, maybe.
I'm just feeling like what you should be saying is no.
Pushing a clothing rack is kind of like pushing a block.
Okay. Listeners, you can weigh in on that. It's just a very common thing in games that I'm like, have I ever done anything even remotely like that? I don't think I have.
Listen, you're not adventuring, though, you know?
Like, that's fair.
Have you ever had to step on a switch?
I mean, like an automatic door.
Have you ever seen a floor switch?
No.
That you stand on?
Oh,
and then have to, push a block on top of course.
Have I ever been somewhere where the power's out and I have to figure out how to get the power back on?
Have you ever had to pull a generator? Probably more people have had to do that.
More people have had to pull a generator than the other things. Like, that's a real thing that people do. Credit where credit is due. Was that it? Did we make it?
We made it.
We made it. Listeners, thanks for tuning in to another 6-week recap here at Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
Have you ever pushed a block or put on a floor switch? Is that experience that you have? Can you explain to me why pushing a block is such a key part of, like, any video game when, like, probably less than 10% of the population has ever done it? Or is that a first world problem? What else did we even talk about? I'm so distracted by blocks. Have you played a game in the last 6 weeks where you were like, it was fine, but not for me? Do you think that I can finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth within the next, let's say, 5.5 weeks? Bearing in mind that for solidly 2 of those weeks, at least, at best, I will be separated from that game. Is Kratos Lloyd's dad? If you have thoughts on any of this that are not spoilers, don't tell Emma if Kratos is Lloyd's dad. If he really is,
don't tell
just
me.
Place your bets. Hit us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube at Talk This Podcast. You can also visit our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can read all about the show, check out the games in the hat, and read our blog featuring, I think, Emma's final Arcane blog.
Yep.
That song came on in public the other day.
Was it they just released like the intro, the full-length version that plays over the intro with the
No, I think it was the normal
arrangement.
one. It didn't sound quite the same, so I think it was just the normal Oh the Misery. Whatever that song is actually called. Don't know.
Enemy.
The song title is Oh the Misery.
Right, yeah, of course.
That's what it's titled.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh, obviously what I was saying is the most important thing that you can do is subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. We're on, I was going to say on Facebook, but that's not where you get the thing. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts, online and on the app, Overcast, Pocket Casts, wherever you can find podcasts. Subscribe to Talk This. Next week it was 2 games that I certainly do not remember. My Thanksgiving brain.
Oh boy.
Wow, Emma's usually ready with these.
I was not paying attention. I was thinking about blocks. I think our old game was Knack, and our new game was UFO 50, I think.
That sounds right, but double check us, listeners, and we'll double check before next time. How often have you in life, listener, had to maneuver falling blocks to land in lines such that those lines would be filled and disappear?
I'm sure many times.
As have we all. On that note, thanks for tuning in. Emma, send us out into December with a smile.
This week, I hope that you do not suspect that your dog is perhaps your mom.